Age Collision Course is the 5th installment of the Ice Age series. That's right, we made it to the 5th movie. You would have thought that as soon as they hit Dawn of the Dinosaurs, these would just become straight to DVD, but nope. We're still here, and there might be a 6th one. Who knows? Only time will tell. This movie opens up the same way that most of the Ice Age movies do. We have the Scrat scene, except in this one, they lost their minds, because Scrat finds a spaceship in the ice, he flies it up into space, and he messes up everything, everything's out of order, and then all of a sudden he creates this giant asteroid, and this asteroid is now hurling towards Earth, and it will end all life on Earth. And as you would have expected, this is now affecting the lives of the mammal characters that we've tried to tolerate over the years. But luckily, Buck, played by Simon Pegg, is back from Dawn of the Dinosaurs, and he has a plan because he knows exactly what's going on, and he has a plan to redirect the asteroid away from Earth. Now, the first Ice Age movie I really liked. I thought it was a really fun movie, and there are some things about it that actually made it better than what it could have ended up being. Not perfect, but it was a solid movie. But unfortunately, that movie did extremely well at the box office, like most animated kids films do, so Blue Sky Studios had to make a sequel. But you could tell they really didn't know how to continue on this series, because Ice Age The Meltdown, a lot of people can agree, was a step down in quality. However, the box office was extremely huge, so they had to make a third film. But you could also tell that they officially had ran out of ideas, that they probably just went straight for the straight-to-DVD folder of ideas and picked one out. The only problem is, this movie didn't go straight to DVD, it still had a theatrical release. And you might be wondering, well, Jackson, how can you tell they are out of ideas? Well, it's called Dawn of the Dinosaurs. It's about when the mammals go under the Earth's crust and find a secret world where dinosaurs still roam free. And once again, that movie made bank at the box office, but the critics can agree that it was a step down in quality. And then we had Continental Drift, which once again carried the tradition of being a step down in quality but making bank at the box office. You will notice that the Rotten Tomatoes score gets lower with each film, and that is definitely the case with Ice Age Collision Course. Right now, it is the lowest score in the Ice Age series, but somehow at the box office, it made bank. Not as much as what the other films did, but it still did fairly well. And I gotta tell you, if you thought Dawn of the Dinosaurs was bad, if you thought Continental Drift was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. Collision Course is the worst in the Ice Age series, the final nail in the coffin to this series. The series is officially dead to me. I'm sorry, first movie, I can't respect you anymore because you spawned so many terrible sequels. One big problem that's been led up to for a while now is that each movie introduced some new characters, and now there's a big character roster in this one. There's so many main characters you have to focus on, and it just doesn't work. All of them have different subplots going on, and none of them are focused on enough to actually feel like it makes an impact on the movie. In fact, as far as I can remember, no one actually breaks down from any of the problems they're facing in their subplot. It's literally just they deal with it in the most chill way ever. There's no big dramatic speech. There's never a point in the movie where people get furious at each other. People get mad at each other, but not furious in this movie where they break up or separate for a little bit. No, it's literally just they have their own problems going on, but they're still going on this adventure, and then the subplots forcefully just kinda end. It literally felt like the movie was just like, look, we're not even trying here, we're doing it for the money, okay? We don't care, just take your kids to see this movie, come on. Now let me talk about the subplots in depth. Now Manny once again is facing problems with his family. Yeah, we've seen this multiple times, except the difference is his daughter Peaches is now dating this bro mammoth named Julian, played by Adam Devine, who is really annoying Manny, and the problem is that Peaches now wants to marry Julian. They're planning on getting married. Manny doesn't like this whatsoever, and he tries to put a stop to it, that cliched thing. Oh yeah, and Manny also forgot his own anniversary with Ellie. I almost forgot to mention that in the review, but don't worry, the movie also forgets about it later on. They only mention it like once after it happens, and then he's just worried about the Julian thing. And Julian in this movie, Adam Devine, I like you, dude, but what are you doing here? Not only should you not be in these movies at all, literally steer clear from them, but you were not funny in this movie. You can definitely tell in the recording studio he's having some fun, he's trying to be funny, but it doesn't work. Julian was an annoying character, but he wasn't a likable, annoying character. For instance, Dory in Finding Nemo, that character could have gone south in so many ways, but because of the script that Ellen DeGeneres had to to work with because of her performance. Dory actually became likable. In fact, the first Ice Age movie, Sid, he could have ended up really annoying, but he was actually pretty likable in that movie. More on Sid later, though. With Julian, though, he's annoying, but he's not likable. He says nothing funny, the character's not good, so he's just annoying for the sake of being annoying. But don't worry, he's not the only annoying character. Case in point, as I mentioned, Sid. He has progressively gotten more annoying as the films have gone on, mainly because I think he was a big hit with the first Ice Age movie, that the studio decided, okay, well, we need more Sid in these movies. He needs to tell more jokes, and the jokes weren't funny. John Leguizamo's performance got even worse. Nothing worked for Sid after that. In this movie, his subplot is love. He's looking at all these people, there's love everywhere, and he's so sad about it. He wants a girlfriend, he wants to get married. And where that subplot leads to, with him finding this wonderful woman sloth who falls in love with Sid instantly, and then that leads up to a bit in the ending. You know what? I don't think anyone really cares about spoilers for this movie, so I'll just say it. This romance pretty much leads up to this woman sloth played by Jessie J. She's a singer, so of course near the end of the movie she's like, I just want to dedicate this song to my lover, Sid, and then Jessie J sings a hip-hop song. You know, in the Ice Age period, of course, you're gonna have hip-hop songs everywhere. In fact, Julian sings the I'm on Fire song at one point. And now we have an ending where Jessie J is singing a hip-hop song and all the characters are coming together, they're dancing and smiling, and that was horrible. Diego in this movie, what a cool character, right? He was a really cool character in the first movie, and I still really enjoyed him in the other movies. The only problem is, in this movie, they wasted his character, because remember Jennifer Lopez Diego, who they introduced in Continental Drift? Yeah, she's a main character now. In this movie, they're lovers, and in the beginning of the movie, they're complaining about how, oh, we could have kids, couldn't we? But, oh, kids are scared of us. And then for the remainder of the movie, until the ending, I kid you not, they never bring it up. They say that in the beginning, and then they're just there on the journey for the rest of the movie, and then near the ending, you know, during the wedding, the closure, they just all of a sudden are like, oh, kids don't find us scary, cool. Are you serious? You wasted this cool character of Diego. Dennis Leary is a great actor, but why? Why did you waste his vocal talents? He is one of the only good parts about this series, and now Diego has nothing to do in this movie. Speaking of nothing to do, Sid's granny, who they introduced in Ice Age Continental Drift, they introduced her in that, and I really did not see the purpose of her character in that movie. And then in Ice Age Collision Course, they basically decide to just leave this character with these other group of elder mammals. And then that's the end of her character. There's nothing else. She doesn't go back with him. She's just there now. So it just really makes me think, why did you introduce this character in the last movie if you're just going to do nothing with her in that movie, and then do also nothing with her in Collision Course, only to just keep her at this place? As I've already mentioned, this movie is filled with annoying characters, like the Possums, Crash, and Eddie, who were introduced in Ice Age The Meltdown. I never even liked them when I first saw it. Like, when I saw Ice Age The Meltdown when I was a kid, I never liked those possums, and I still don't like those possums, but they ended up in Dawn of the Dinosaurs and Continental Drift, and they're here once again. Didn't like them, they were totally unfunny, but by far the most annoying character in this movie. He's not even in it that long. He shows up near the last 20-30 minutes of this movie. Couldn't stand this guy. Shangri-Lama, played by the guy from Modern Family, the Jesse something man. Holy crap! This character isn't even there that long. But what he does is absolutely horrendous. This character was so bad. He was horrible. His mannerisms, how the character was portrayed, his humor, nothing worked. He was so irritating, and he was easily the most annoying character, even though he wasn't even in it that long. That's how bad he was. I wouldn't even say he was in it for like maybe even 10 minutes, but he still was awful. And they even took a character that I liked and made him unfunny, that being Buck. I liked Buck in Dawn of the Dinosaurs, so I was hoping with them bringing him into this movie, I was like, okay, maybe some humor can be added here. This movie's probably going to be garbage, but Buck, looking forward to that guy. He sucked. He was terrible in this movie, and I love Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg is one of my favorite actors, but in this movie, Oh, no. His performance wasn't the problem, it was the character. What Simon had to work with as far as a script, it was terrible. The introduction to Buck in this movie is him fighting off the villainous characters trying to save another dino egg. He's singing the Figaro song while a mountain in the background suddenly just collapses and forms a sculpture of him saving the dino egg, and then that just explodes. Other scenes with Buck that completely humiliated me were him trying to salsa dance with Jennifer Lopez Diego, him dressing up in drag at one point, and then later complimenting how he looks. I'm not going to do the voice for it. He does the fabulous line. You know, whenever a man dresses up as a woman, or if he tries to look fancy, then he does the fabulous thing. You know, the tired joke that's been used multiple times before, they bring it here, and they help ruin Buck's character that way. Speaking of Buck, Neil deGrasse Tyson cameos in this movie. He plays, wait for it, Neil DeBuck Weasel. Let that sink in. Neil deGrasse Tyson, you were cameoed in Zoolander 2 earlier this year, and you continue that streak by cameoing in Ice Age Collision Course. Great job, you're on a roll, man. And he's shown in a scene where Buck takes Crash and Eddie, literally touches them on the head, and all of a sudden they're inside his mind. They don't explain it. Don't ask me to explain it. They don't explain it. Then all of a sudden he shows up, and Buck literally says, "Oh, a professional scientist, Neil DeBuck Weasel, listen up." Like, oh my god! Are you even trying, Blue Sky? It also doesn't help that later when the villainous characters reveal how they're going to avoid the apocalypse of this asteroid hitting, Neil DeBuck Weasel comments on that plan going, "That's so stupid." And that causes Buck to say, "Man, that's really dumb." Then they're like, "Oh, I guess that is really dumb. I guess we'll help you. We'll stop being the villains and help you in the finale." That's one of the big reasons why I hate the finale of this movie, but we'll get to that later. But I just find it odd that Neil deGrasse Tyson said that line about the bird dinosaur plan of just flying above the apocalypse, saying that's so stupid, but what happens later in the movie, the entire plot, he doesn't say, "Wow, what's been happening? It's really frickin' dumb." He doesn't say anything about that, just, "Oh, those birds flying over, disaster, that's pretty stupid." Not the other thing that's pretty big that I'll touch on in a moment. And not only did they ruin Buck in this movie, but in some ways, Scrat wasn't as funny. In all of the Ice Age movies, even Dinosaurs and Continental Drift, those movies sucked. But Scrat was the saving grace. He was always the character where I was like, alright, this guy, he is funny. He is the only funny thing about this movie. And in this movie, there are some parts where I'm like, alright, Scrat, thanks for reminding me why I somewhat like these movies still, because of you. You're great. But then there are times where they lose their minds with them. They don't know what else to do with Scrat, and it's completely irritating. They made Scrat irritating in this movie. There are times where I liked him. Then there are times where they just completely ruined it. He wasn't as funny as he was in the other movies. Movies that suck at least still had Scrat. This movie sucks, and you only have some good Scrat, but then some horrible Scrat, including the last minute and a half on Scrat. It's a Scrat moment, the last minute and a half. What they do is, it was terrible. Not only was it just not funny, but it was stupid. It was stupid! That's my big flaw with this movie, is that it is stupid! Nothing about this movie screams that it should be a theatrical release. It is straight to DVD plot. This is a straight to DVD movie, because it is stupid! Nothing this stupid should be in theaters, but because of the large box office that the other Ice Age movies had, here we are, with the dumbest Ice Age movie yet. And I've been waiting to talk about this. My big issue with this movie, one of the big reasons why the plot is so stupid, why I think none of the subplots really make an impact, why the villains suck, is the finale. The big finale of this movie. How are they going to redirect the asteroid away from Earth? And yes, I'm going to spoil this thing, because why not? If you care about Ice Age, you would have seen it already, so let's talk about this. Buck's plan on redirecting the asteroid is taking a bunch of other crashed asteroids, because there's a crash site where the asteroid's going to hit. There are other asteroids there too. His plan is to take those chunks of rock and put them in a volcano and then make it erupt into the sky. The plan is that these rocks actually act like magnets with each other, so when they launch all these rocks up into space to meet up with the asteroid that's hurling down, they're gonna magnetize, do whatever, and then that big asteroid is just gonna go far away. That is stupid! How they went about making this discovery, how they went about actually making this plan in actuality, how they put some of the rocks into the volcano, stupid. Highly, highly stupid. There's a moment in there where Julian finally proves himself to Manny, but it really doesn't feel like anything was led up to that moment because there was never a moment where Julian found out how Manny actually felt about him or anything like that, where Julian went depressed and Manny was just forced to kind of rekindle in some way so they can get the job done, only for Julian to make up for himself in the end. No, the big problem with that subplot is that there's never a scene where they all get pissed at each other or really depressed. It's just they get somewhat irritated with each other, but they still go on this journey together. They still stand near each other. They're not like trying to avoid each other. And then all of a sudden, when it comes time to the big finale and Julian, it's now time for him to prove himself, it doesn't feel earned. Basically, he lets the rocks fall down the volcano and then go up a curve in it. There's a curve on the volcano, so the rocks are sliding down and it goes up and it luckily goes into the volcano. Are you frickin' kidding me? That is nuts, even for a kid's movie. And now the villains. Why I hate these guys is because the whole time you think they really hate Buck. Buck ran into them in the beginning of the movie, so they really hate this guy. They want to stop him. They want all mammals to die, and their plan is to fly above the apocalypse, and they're going to live free. This is going to be their world. The only problem is that they barely actually make an impact on the hero's journey. Like, it never really seems like they cause the heroes to be delayed or anything like that. Plus, they try to be funny, and they're not funny, and there's supposed to be some family drama there. I guess that's where a message of some kind shows up, and that wasn't executed well either, because they were barely in this thing. And when it comes time for them to actually interact with the heroes while they're trying to launch the rocks into space, they hold Buck down, they reveal their big plan, and Buck says, "Hey, that's really stupid, that plan of yours." And they're like, "Oh, I guess you're right. Well, I guess we'll help you now." That is their story arc. They're pissed at Buck, they chase Buck, and then they catch Buck, only for Buck to then tell them, "Hey, you're stupid," then for them to go, "Oh, I guess you're right," and then they help out. Are you kidding me? So really, there was no big villain fighting them. Each movie had a villain. The first movie had the Sabertooths that Diego were working with. Those were the villains. The Meltdown had those weird dinosaur thingamajigs. Dawn of the Dinosaurs had the really big dinosaur, Rudy. Continental Drift had the Peter Dinklage monkey pirate thing. And in this movie, it's dinosaur birds, but then they stop being the villains in time for the finale. So there's not even any excitement, there's no fight, nothing, just If it wasn't for the beautiful animation that Blue Sky Studios put out, and that is true, the animation does look really good for this movie, I think if that wasn't even there, I would have absolutely hated this movie. And if it wasn't for that animation, I would have said that this movie was on par with Norm of the North. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to go back on what I just said about the animation, because yes, Blue Sky does some great animation work, and that is the case with this film, but I just realized I ranted about this movie for about 20 minutes. So why would I just go about a 20-minute rant video only to give this movie a D-? Why would I let the animation be my positive with this movie if I absolutely hated everything else about this movie? So yes, the animation is good, but I'm not going to let that be a positive here. Sorry, that's just how it works. The fact that they even made Scrat just okay is a crime enough. Guys, I'm done with the Ice Age series. No more, please. I was done with it with Continental Drift. Why they made this one, no idea. Well, I do, box office. But seriously, if you're gonna make another movie, Blue Sky, straight to DVD. That way I don't have to see it, I don't have to review it. If it's straight to DVD, then I won't care about it. That's where the Ice Age series should have gone when you put out Dawn of the Dinosaurs. But no, more theatrical releases. And I bet if they do make a 6th one, that's going to be theatrical. Scheisse. I'm gonna give Ice Age Collision Course a D-. I freaking hate this movie so much. The characters are intolerable, they're annoying, the humor is non-existent, and the plot, including that finale, is some of the dumbest stuff I think I've ever seen in an animated film. Not just an Ice Age film, but an animated film ever. But guys, if you've seen Ice Age Collision Course, leave in the comments below of what you thought of it. Later today, I'm going to be seeing Sausage Party, which is probably going to be much better than this movie. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.